Hello, I'm Barbara Maroney. Along with my commitment to the Ion Cleanse for a healthy lifestyle is my dedication to yoga. I taught classes and trained as a yoga therapist, but probably most importantly, I've practiced pretty much daily for close to 30 years. My interest in sleep comes from the fact that I was once a chronic insomniac. During that time, I slept 4, maybe 5 hours a night. And believe me, I wish I could have those years back and do them over, especially in light of what research has discovered in the past 15 years. To give you a sense of how important sleep is, the Harvard Sleep Medicine website ranks it as a pillar of health, along with diet and nutrition. And some think it's even more important than that. The title of this video is Detoxify Your Brain While You Sleep. It may sound somewhat like a how-to title, and in a way it is, because the secret to detoxifying your brain is simply to get a good night's sleep. But there's the rub. So many people are not getting the sleep they need that the Centers for Disease Control classifies it as a public health epidemic. And if you do any kind of reading or research, you'll hear the term public health crisis bandied about quite a bit. And that's because experts continue to sound the alarm. Getting the sleep you need is crucial, not only to the health of your brain, but to every single system and organ in your body. If you don't get the sleep you need, you diminish your ability to be the best that you can be. Phew. Sounds like a pretty strong statement. I know. But a recent New York Times article went so far as to call sleep deprivation the invisible ceiling to how good life can be. And the more research I do, the more I believe this is not an exaggeration. When I was an insomniac, I knew I wasn't doing myself any good. My increasingly lined face in the mirror and racing heart in the mornings were two of the more obvious clues. And I did a lot of things right. I paid attention to nutrition and got regular exercise. However, there is this saying that you're only as strong as your weakest link, and sufficient sleep is essential to overall well-being. When I finally reached the point where I knew I had to do something, a friend of mine introduced me to Yoga Nidra guided relaxation. Yoga Nidra reins in the restless mind and prepares the body for sleep in various ways. Now, a little bit about this video. You know, when it comes to health, very often some of the most knowledgeable people on a topic are those who faced a challenge and healed themselves. The information I present is based both upon my research and my experience recovering from chronic insomnia. I hope you enjoy it, and maybe it even gives you food for thought when you evaluate whether you're getting the sleep you need. I go over some of what experts say about sleep and the basics of Yoga Nidra. I also review some of the many things you can do, some of which may surprise you, to improve the quality of your sleep no matter where you fall on the sleep spectrum. You can also download my version of Yoga Nidra guided relaxation for home practice. So let's begin by taking a look at what is normal sleep. Normal sleep can be characterized as follows. You fall asleep easily. Some say within 10 minutes of going to bed. Of course, this criterion can be blurred if you are like me and like to read in bed, but basically you fall asleep easily within your target time. Stay asleep without fully waking up. Pictured here is a graph of typical brainwave activity called sleep architecture. As you can see, we go through cycles of deeper and lighter sleep throughout the night. These peaks are of light sleep. The sleep is light enough that we may even wake up briefly and have no memory of doing so. The pattern of these cycles is distinct. We experience more slow-wave sleep at the beginning of the night and more REM or rapid eye movement dream sleep toward the end. And different activities take place during the different stages. For example, during slow-wave sleep, we sift through the experiences of the day and store those that will go into long-term memory. REM sleep is where a lot of creativity takes place. You can see the intelligence of what's going on. Do not wake up too early, which means you sleep the number of hours you need. We're going to take a look at this more closely later on. Feel refreshed and energized in the morning. This refers to quality. Are you getting enough deep sleep? Is your sleep restless? Is your body relaxed enough to fully benefit from those hours you spend in bed? What is sufficient sleep? This is a somewhat debated topic. Some of us may feel we need very little sleep, or we just don't have the time to get the recommended hours. But for now, let's look at what the experts say. The National Sleep Foundation draws from the consensus of current wisdom to produce the following chart. You can find this chart on its website. The foundation recommends that adults get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night. Teenagers and young children need more. Older adults, maybe a little less, but that's somewhat debated as well. Notice too that there are not only lower, but upper limits to optimal sleep. Too much sleep can involve a medical issue. However, Harvard University's health website says that research does show too much sleep may upset the body's rhythms. A bit later, I'll tell you how a prominent sleep researcher weighs in on the matter. Somewhat paradoxically, much of the rest and rejuvenation and energy we feel comes not from the inactivity of sleep, but rather its busyness. While our conscious selves go offline, our other than conscious selves are quite busy, making us healthier, smarter, and more creative. Not bad, huh? One of the most active organs in sleep is the brain. It expends about 20% of the body's energy. It stores memories, makes creative connections. I'm especially intrigued by this one. There are so many examples, but did you know that Beatle Paul McCartney composed Yesterday, which is the group's most successful song, in his dreams? He woke up with the tune in his head. As he tells it, at first he was confused. He didn't know where it had come from. He spent time asking around, whistling the tunes to friends to see if they recognized it. He finally realized he must have created it in his sleep. You can see him being interviewed about this online. The brain can also hone and even learn new physical skills. A most important task, one that other functions depend upon, is that of detoxification. While we sleep, our brains undergo a significant transformation. Glial cells are found throughout the central nervous system. They're found in the brain and the spinal cord. While we sleep, the brain's glial cells shrink to create more intercellular space. Then cerebrospinal fluid, which is secreted by a type of glial cell, flushes through this enlarged space and removes metabolic wastes. One waste product that has gotten a lot of attention is beta amyloid. That's because the accumulation of this protein fragment in certain areas of the brain is linked to Alzheimer's disease. So we definitely want to clear out beta amyloid. The brain detoxifies itself mostly at night. You may wonder, as I did, why is that? Well, the discoverer of this nighttime brain activity proposes the following logic. If you throw a party, you don't take off the trash until after the party is over. Well, in like manner, your brain cleans up at night after the activities of the day are done. Another task the brain performs while we sleep is what I'll call emotional detoxification. Lack of sleep affects mood. No surprise there, I guess. However, the consequences go way beyond a transient irritability and grumpiness. Dr. Matthew Walker is a prominent sleep researcher at Berkeley. He has an entertaining video online of some of his research. In one experiment, he separates college students, those perennial guinea pigs, into two groups. One group gets a good night's sleep, and the other group is kept up all night. Both groups are then shown a series of emotionally positive, negative, and neutral images, and then sent home. They are then brought back to the lab and tested on their recall of these images. And the results are pretty remarkable. The sleep-deprived group remembered twice as many of the negative images, while the group with enough sleep remembered twice as many of the positive images. I think the implications of this are huge, because how we remember our past greatly influences how we behave in the present, and therefore how we shape our future. Another researcher, Dr. Robert Stickold of Harvard, summed up the result this way. Lack of sleep here produces an entire shift of what has happened in their lives. The belief is that insufficient sleep impairs communication between the amygdala, which is the emotional reactive part of our brains, and the prefrontal cortex, the logical modulating part. You know, the part that goes, grrr, you're stepping on my yoga mat. And the part that says, calm down, it's no big deal. Actor James Gandolfini of Sopranos fame used sleep deficiency in his acting repertoire. When he was asked how he generated powerful emotions, he said that for anger, he skimped on sleep. To paraphrase him, get 2 to 3 hours of sleep 2 nights in a row, and anything anybody does will piss you off. How much sleep do you need? Who hasn't experienced the contrast between waking up after a refreshing night's sleep and waking up tired or even exhausted after too little or restless sleep? How important is it to get those requisite quality hours? Now, some people may function very well with less than the recommended guidelines. However, consider this. Dr. Walker has observed in his research that less than 7 hours of sleep invariably produces a detrimental effect when measured in the lab. And here's a catch-22 corollary. He adds that how well you think you are doing with less sleep is not a good indicator of how well you are performing when measured objectively. And this finding is supported by other studies as well. I recently debated this whole idea of how much sleep one needs with a friend. She knows of several people, I think they're friends of friends, who are very accomplished and do very well with 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Of course, as I said, there are always exceptions to general rules, and I'll discuss an interesting one briefly in a minute. But I wonder first if someone who performs well with less sleep could be even more brilliant if they allowed themselves an extra sleep cycle. Another consideration is that some people may get more overall shut-eye than they realize. I'm thinking of, nodding off on a sofa in the evening, for example. Also, there are so many variables to consider. For example, are these people a healthy weight? Sleep deficiency sets in motion imbalances that promote unhealthy eating habits and weight gain. Now for the exception. There are people who apparently thrive with 4 to 6 hours of sleep. They're called efficient sleepers. They have an identifying genetic mutation, and they are rare. Based upon my research and my experience of many sleep-deprived nights, I strongly favor exploring your relationship with sleep as part of a healthy lifestyle. One article recommends finding what they call your sleep sweet spot. I like the sound of that. Of course, I like sweets of any kind. And on a final note, Dr. Walker goes even one step further than the Harvard School of Medicine. He believes that sleep is the foundation upon which the other pillars of health rest. And he's taken his research to heart. He once skimped on sleep, but now reserves, as he says, a non-negotiable 8 hours every night. And based upon what I've read, he's not the only sleep researcher to change his or her ways. How to improve your sleep. What if you've tried and can't get better sleep? Streams of conscious thoughts, subconscious fears and anxieties, a body unable to relax and let go from daily stresses can all contribute to an inability to fall asleep, stay asleep, sleep the number of hours needed, or get restful sleep. I've been on both sides of the fence. I was a healthy sleeper until middle age. I then experienced the ravages of insomnia for a number of years. And I can point to the usual suspects: family tensions, finances, where is my life going? And finally, happily, coming full circle to being a healthy sleeper again, even now as a senior citizen, not so much wondering where my life is going, but rather contemplating where it has gone. And as you may know, us senior citizens are among the most challenged when it comes to getting enough quality sleep. Yoga Nidra to the rescue. Yoga Nidra rescued me from the clutches of insomnia. It works directly with the elements I mentioned that can keep you up at night. It helps you calm and steady a restless mind, train tense muscles to let go, and create a relaxation response to neutralize the effects of chronic stress in your body. Yoga Nidra helps you create the space for your body to do what it was meant to do at bedtime, enter a normal, healthy, restful sleep. What is Yoga Nidra? Nope, it's not yoga in lotus pose. It's not yoga in wheel pose. It's yoga in corpse pose. Yoga Nidra is traditionally done with your eyes closed, lying supine and still. This makes it a perfect relaxation to do in bed as you try to fall asleep. And there are also all kinds of modifications you can make so that your body is comfortable. You can even do it seated. The principle behind Yoga Nidra guided relaxation is simple. You train yourself to be here now. Living in the present, fully focused in the moment, is as close as you can get to a magic pill for life. You need only follow the guided directions and connect with your body's presence in the moment. This alone helps create a state of deep relaxation. You don't have to try to relax, it just happens. Your body is your gateway to the present. Yoga Nidra has two core elements: the rotation of consciousness and focus on the breath. The rotation of consciousness guides you to systematically focus on different parts of your body. If you look at your finger, you have a direct visual connection with it. If you close your eyes, can you maintain that connection in your mind's eye? Envision systematically traveling with your mind's eye throughout your body. This journey draws your mind away from distracting thoughts and into the presence of your body. It draws you into the now, which is where you want to be. Awareness of your breath is a second powerful element of Yoga Nidra. Just being aware of your breath changes it and you. If you were to right now observe your breath and do nothing else, that alone creates an internal shift in your body. In this Yoga Nidra relaxation, counting your inhalations and exhalations is one way used to help maintain your focus on the breath. The breath and the nervous system are inextricably bound together. For example, it's been discovered that if you make your exhalations twice as long as your inhalations, you turn down the sympathetic nervous system, or stress mode, and turn up the parasympathetic nervous system, or relaxation mode. Conversely, if you make your inhalations twice as long as your exhalations, you reverse the dominant mode. The practice of Yoga Nidra helps elicit the relaxation response. While Yoga Nidra comes from the rich heritage of yoga, the relaxation response is a modern term introduced by Dr. Herbert Benson, a Harvard physician. Dr. Benson began to explore the mind-body connection to health in the 1960s. He eventually wrote a book about his discoveries, titled, The Relaxation Response. In his book, he recalls that during the early days of his research, his colleagues thought it weird to even think there might be a connection between the mind and physical health. The relaxation response gives a name to your body's ability to create an internal environment that is opposite to that of the fight or flight or stress response. Dr. Benson learned about the relaxation response by observing transcendental meditation practitioners. These practitioners came to him asking to be observed because they were convinced their meditation lowered blood pressure, which it does in a pretty spectacular way. A recent study showed that the regular practice of the relaxation response was able to lower high blood pressure by modifying gene expression. The relaxation response is recognized as being effective for insomnia. While you might not be a certified insomniac, as I was, wherever your issue falls on the sleep spectrum, Yoga Nidra is something to consider. The self-prescribed program I devised for myself contains the 4 original key elements that Dr. Benson says elicits the relaxation response. And they are quiet environment, a mental device, that is the means by which you draw your mind away from distracting thoughts, a passive attitude, that means no judgment about what is or should be happening, and a comfortable position. So now, I'm going to present a guide to better sleep based upon my more than 15 years of experience with regular practice of Yoga Nidra. First of all, use the downloaded guided relaxation daily or as regularly as possible. You're developing a skill that will serve you well, not only as you sleep, but as you go about your day. The best time to practice is at night, but you can do it any time. Take care to prepare yourself well. Get in the mood and make a mental space. While your outer environment contributes to a good night's sleep, most important is your willingness to work with your mind. Look forward to sleep. Prepare yourself to let go of the day's activities and turn your focus inward. And I admit that can be pretty hard to do at times. But good sleepers tend to look forward to and enjoy their sleep. Instead of your time in bed being a minus, time subtracted from your day, when you could be doing other things like maybe worrying, think of it as a plus. Because sufficient sleep will not only support, but is crucial to your accomplishments, creativity, physical and mental skills, mood, as well as your overall health. If this isn't motivational, I don't know what is. Be committed. Resolve to focus on sleep no matter what. Early in my journey, I sometimes played my Yoga Nidra guided relaxation for most of the night. Even though I wasn't staying asleep longer, I was still feeling and looking better in the morning. Put your to-do list aside and place your troubles outside of the bedroom. They'll be right there waiting for you in the morning, I promise. And remember this, a good night's sleep will help you better deal with them. You may even wake up with new insights on how to fix them. I sometimes make a list of everything that goes through my mind just before I get ready for bed. I call it my brain dump. It's a good reference for the following morning because at night, anxieties I've managed to subvert during the day tend to surface. Form an intention to communicate with your subconscious. Creativity happens when you sleep. Your brain makes creative connections from the day's input with stored memories. Some liken Yoga Nidra to an extended hypnagogic state, which is how I experience it. The hypnagogic state is a time when the subconscious is more open to suggestion. And maybe it's a time to get more acquainted with what our subconscious is trying to communicate to us. We operate from our subconscious most of the time throughout the day anyway. Make your commitment long-term. Practice makes perfect. Yoga Nidra teaches you a skill that not only helps you get better sleep, but also bleeds over into the way you run your daily life, calmer and more focused, which will in turn help get even better sleep. You make the practice a self-supporting, positive feedback loop. Next are some thoughts about your outer environment. Dr. Benson later revised his 4 essential elements of the relaxation response down to 2, a mental device and a passive attitude. Yoga Nidra relaxation cultivates both. However, your outer environment also plays an important role to either support or interfere with healthy sleep. So prepare your outer environment well. The way you set up your bedroom, what you do before you go to bed, how much sun you get during the day, what and when you eat and drink, among other things, all play a role in getting a good night's sleep. Blue light exposure. I wasn't aware of how blue light exposure affects sleep when I began my Yoga Nidra practice. However, it's certainly something to pay attention to. While blue light isn't inherently bad, you need the blue light from the sun during the day, but it, more than any other wavelength, interferes with your body's ability to produce melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep hormone. Its levels normally rise in the evening and peak in the middle of the night. The consequences of blue light exposure on sleep affect the body's circadian rhythms and therefore overall health. I recommend 2 options here. The first one is to eliminate blue light exposure at least an hour before bedtime. This means staying away from all those wonderful electronic devices that are integral to life these days. Alternatively, if you are going to be exposed to blue light close to bedtime, consider getting blue light blocking lenses. The more orange the lens, the more blue light blocked out. If I watch TV, read my Kindle, or play on my cell phone close to bedtime, I wear amber lenses and find they make a noticeable difference. I also know they work because as I was watching TV one day, I happened to notice that my receiver appeared to be off, even though it obviously wasn't because I was watching my program. I then realized that the on button was blue light, and I couldn't see it because my amber lensed glasses had filtered it out. Do an ion cleanse. The ion cleanse's ability to help you relax can prepare you to be more receptive to the guided relaxation. The foot bath can help you settle down enough to do the practice, because sometimes getting into the mindset to do it is in and itself a challenge. Darken the bedroom. Make it as dark and as quiet as possible. And reduce EMFs. For example, you can turn off your Wi-Fi connection to your cell phone or tablet or e-reader if they're in the room. I sometimes place my cell phone in another room and disconnect the Wi-Fi on my Kindle if I read in bed. Regular hours can help. Going to bed at the same time every night helps the body's circadian rhythms. Find your best bedtime hours. The best time to go to bed may or may not be some hour on the dot, but a time range. My optimal range is between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Before 9, I tend to wake up around midnight for a while. After 11, I just don't feel as rested when I wake up. Not being a strictly regimented person, I target a range between 9 and 11. One site I visited recommended 10:10 exactly to get in a full 90-minute sleep cycle before midnight. But most of all, experiment and see what bedtime works best for you. Pay attention to room temperature. Slightly cooler room temperatures seem to be conducive to better sleep. I found this to be true because I started to lower the room temperature for my older dog and found it does help me sleep better. Scents play a role in creating an environment to encourage sleep. Lavender, for example, slows the heart rate. Spray bottles or diffusers are good possibilities. One formula you might want to try is to fill a spray bottle with 2 tablespoons of witch hazel and then add 15 drops each of eucalyptus and lavender. You can spray this on your shower stall walls. The aromatic oils rise with the steam. Another option is to use an essential oil diffuser. This is something I use. I have a premixed formula that's called Sleep, which contains lavender and eucalyptus. Supplements. Chamomile is one herb that is a natural sedative. I just discovered it's also beneficial to the thyroid. Although I haven't tried chamomile yet, that's definitely on my to-do list. Appropriate bedding. Bedding that supports good posture while you sleep. Maybe even organic and chemical-free if possible. An interesting line of thought is to pay attention to whether you sleep on your side, stomach, or back. While different studies look at different factors, back and right side sleeping have been recommended by some sites. You might want to investigate and experiment. See if position matters for you. Forgo sleeping pills. Some sleeping pills are known to disrupt the natural sleep cycles. That is, they interfere with the architecture of sleep. So to conclude,
The most important ingredient for success, as always, is a consistent effort. I like Yoga Nidra because it trains the mind to be more focused and aware, which carries over into the way you run your life. You develop a skill that is owned with practice. You strengthen the connection between your mind and your body. The journey you take, visiting the parts of your body, leaves a trail of awareness that grows stronger over time. The download available with this video is the result of my journey to better sleep. You can also visit my Facebook page for more posts on my research into sleep and Yoga Nidra. Get the most of the incredible activity that takes place in your body while you lie quietly in your bed. It's a world as important as your daytime life. Let a good night's sleep be an opening as high as the stars above for creating your life's fulfillment.